where Amber disputed the reason why Johnny Depp refuses to look at her in the courtroom.
When Ms. Vasquez asked you if you knew why Mr. Depp couldn't or wouldn't look you in the eye here or in the UK, you said, yes, you know. Why? Please tell the jury why.
Because he's guilty. Because he knows he's lying. Otherwise, why can't he look at me? I survived. I survived that man, and I'm here, and I'm able to look at him.
After Amber Heard left the witness stand, the jury watched the deposition videos of Io Tillett-Wright and Rocky Pennington, who testified that they never witnessed Depp become violent towards Amber, but said that the couple did use strong language against and about each other. And while the testimony rolls on inside the courtroom, the action outside the courthouse hasn't waned on week 5 of the case. And today, Ted, we expect Amber Heard's defense to play more video depositions of those who were present around the times of alleged abuse between the couple to corroborate her story, including a makeup artist, a former fiance of Rocky Pennington, others who worked in the East Columbia building, and also Amber Heard's sister Whitney, though, is expected to testify at some point in person, and that could be today. I'll send it back to you.
Our thanks to Chanley Painter. She'll be back in the courtroom throughout the day, and of course, on Court TV, filling us in on how the jury is reacting to all of this. A huge day today in this case. They seem to just get bigger and bigger as it moves on. Joining us now, forensic criminologist Dr. Laura Pettler in Monroe, North Carolina, and law professor at the University of Georgia, and former prosecutor Melissa Redmond. She's in Atlanta. Good morning to both of you ladies. Melissa, to you first. What'd you think? At the end of the day, after all of the cross, Camille Vasquez versus Amber Heard, what were your thoughts overall and who moved the ball which way?
I think it was a masterful cross-examination. It's really textbook. The things that we teach our students in trial advocacy on cross-examination is to have a plan, one fact per question, locking the witness into what should be a yes or no answer. We did see Ms. Heard try to offer explanations to very simple questions, and I don't think that came across very well in front of the jury. So I do think Depp's team moved the ball a lot with that cross-examination.
Doctor, what did you think of Amber, analyzing her from afar? What'd you pick up?
You know, Ted, it was an amazing day, and it actually changed completely for me the day before when Camille Vasquez began her cross-examination. And really the thing that absolutely changed the game was her definitions of pledge versus donation. And where I saw this shape-shifting Amber Heard was trying, in my opinion, to manipulate this jury to equate and make believable that the definitions of pledge and donation are indeed the same, when clearly, factually, they're not. One is a noun, one is a verb. It's very simple, but she tried to take a simple situation and twist it to her benefit. And that is the moment that it changed for me, pursuant to, can we take everything that she has said into consideration, or will this jury take everything she's said into consideration?
After Amber Heard walked off of the stand and after the jury left the courtroom, you could feel the weight of the last few days, the last few months of preparation for this team. Camille Vasquez goes and hugs not only her fellow attorneys, but then also Johnny Depp, and you could just feel that relief. And you look at those faces, Melissa, this is a celebration from the team. I mean, they were all in unison, fist pumping throughout at different times. You know, we saw Benjamin Chew with one fist pump. But when you watch that, that makes you think that in the courtroom, feeling the jury, watching the jury, in terms of Team Johnny Depp, they were pleased.
Absolutely. Team Johnny Depp thought that Ms. Vasquez definitely accomplished what they needed her to accomplish on cross-examination. You can see the other attorneys beaming with pride, congratulating her on her cross-examination. Her client, of course, seemed very happy. And one of the few times, well, he smiled and giggled a few times, but he was obviously very pleased with her performance. So it's no question, and I know the jury wasn't in the room at that time, but there's no question that what we saw was Depp's team being very proud of Ms. Vasquez and very confident in her performance in that cross-examination. So we'll see how that played out in front of the jury, what the jury thought about it once they reach a verdict.
Laura, as we move forward here, Amber Heard was able to withstand the freight train of Camille Vasquez to some point. You know, there was no Perry Mason moment, there wasn't a breakdown. However, this case is not over, and Amber Heard's team has now some very pivotal witnesses coming up. What are you going to be looking for from Whitney Heard, her sister, who is going to have to tell a story that backs up Amber's, especially the staircase story, because she was absolutely there, and the other friends. We're going to finish up with Rocky Pennington here when court resumes at the top of the hour, and then the others in that surrounding that bubble, right? We've heard Johnny Depp's other team members. Can someone who is not an accomplished actress like Amber Heard, i.e. her sister, physically and mentally withstand this type of pressure and get away with possibly not telling the entire truth? Or is this going to be exposed, do you think, in your expertise, in your history? Do you think it's going to be easier to detect possibly one of these lay people trying to, if they do, not tell the entire truth?
You know, Ted, I think that they are actually all lay people pursuant to how they perceive and how they translate and convey information about these topics. One thing about Amber Heard to remember is there are many, many things that she has said that are consistent across the board with intimate partner violence, and victims of intimate partner violence say very similar things that she has said when dealing with a person when they use substances and things of that nature. Of course, there are so many other things that she has said that are completely very inflated, very, very embellished, and you don't know the level of detail. Is that an act or is that authentic? So then when you bring in this sister and you bring in these other people who are present or who were present in many of these alleged events, do they corroborate? Do they remember the same details? But it's important to also remember that 10 people could see the same car accident. We're going to all perceive it differently. We're going to all give a different account of events at some level. So, you know, eyewitness testimony is not very reliable. It's statistically proven. So, you know, they're going to have to corroborate her maybe to to bolster her credibility with the jury. I don't know how the jury's perceiving her at this point or what they think her credibility is at this point.
Melissa, it can't be underestimated the importance of these other witnesses, because at the end of the day, Amber Heard did exactly as what we thought she would do, is stick to her story. She put up a good battle with Camille Vasquez, but without the other voices, it's a tough case for her, correct? And these other voices are just going to be critical.
They are going to be critical, because when you have instances of intimate partner violence, it's generally only the abuser and the victim or the survivor. So what her witnesses will need to talk about are any contextual details that they can confirm. Outcry, things that she told her friends and family members, people in her circle, very close in time to the events, that could come in and say, when this happened back in 2014 or 2016, she told me about it back then, and the details that she told me then match the details that she's saying now, and that has been consistent throughout the years. Other evidence of trauma, changes in her behavior, things that they can point to tie her and evidence of abuse to acts of violence by Johnny Depp. And they only have to show that he has abused her at some point in this relationship. I don't think there's one specific act that they have to prove happened. So if the jury believes that at some point in that relationship, Johnny Depp did abuse Amber Heard, Amber Heard, then that truth would be a defense to his defamation suit, and she wins that part.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll watch it all play out. We're, again, expecting Rocky Pennington to finish at the top of when they come back. They're going to play her deposition. And then at some point, as Chanley Painter said, we are expecting Whitney Heard to take the stand. Whether that will be this afternoon remains to be seen, but a critical day for Amber Heard and her team. Coming up, Amber Heard responds to questions from Johnny Depp's attorneys about whether she altered photos of her seemingly bruised face, a crucial moment that took place yesterday. We'll talk about that when we return.
Download RoboKiller today.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. It has been an explosive week in the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard battle. Yesterday, it was the Amber Heard-Camille Vasquez battle, the pair going at it in a contentious cross-examination that at times focused on photos that Amber Heard produced as potential evidence of Johnny Depp's abuse. We're going to now take a look at one of those moments and listen to how Amber Heard explained the differences between two nearly identical images.
Yesterday, Ms. Heard, Ms. Bredehoff, your attorney, showed you certain pictures from May 21, 2016. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 710, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph taken of you on May 21st, 2016. Do you recall?
Yes, that's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, if we could please do a split screen, Tom, and also pull up Defendant's Exhibit 714, which has already been admitted with redactions. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph that was also taken on May 21st, 2016, correct?
Yes, although the one to the right might have been taken the next day. I can't be sure. The reason I say that is because there's light in the background. So it looks like it was taken in the daytime, which means maybe it was the next day.
Didn't you testify that you took different lighting, pictures in different lightings on May 21?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And you're wearing two thin necklaces in this picture on the right, is that correct?
That is correct.
You testified that these pictures were taken the same night.
The one on the right looks like it was taken in the daytime because I can see the daylight behind me.
But you testified that they were taken the same day.
I don't know if I think I testified that they came from the same incident of the same day, not necessarily taken on the same day.
Okay. Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 712, which has already been admitted. You testified yesterday this is another photograph of you on the night of May 21.
That's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, can we please do a split screen and also pull up Defendant 713, which has already been admitted? Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday this is also a photograph of you from the same night, correct?
That is correct.
You testified yesterday that the only difference between these two photographs is that the light was turned on.
That's what it appears to be, yes.
The light is on both of these pictures, though. Isn't that right?
It looks to me like the one on the left has the vanity light, the makeup lights, you know, the more yellow-hued ones that go around the mirror on, and then the one on the right looks like it doesn't have those.
Isn't it true you just edited these photographs?
No, I've never edited a photograph.
Didn't you just enhance the saturation for one of these photos to make your face look more red?
No, that's incorrect. I didn't touch it.
Let's bring back forensic criminologist Dr. Laura Pettler in Monroe, North Carolina, and law professor at the University of Georgia and former prosecutor Melissa Redmond. Laura, to you first here, those two photos, when put up side by side, they're the same photo. I mean, they're not two different photos. They're the exact same photo with, as Camille Vasquez pointed out, different saturation levels. At some point, you know, the jury is going, you know, one would think if the jury takes this back in the deliberation room, I mean, you look at the hair placement, it's the same photo, isn't it?
Yes, it appears to be the same photo. And, you know, one of the things that's important about forensic photography, just, you know, coming from the investigation side of the house, is that when you manipulate a picture, meaning, and I don't mean manipulate it in a bad way. I mean literally like enhance it in any way. You have to document that in your case file. And when you present it for discovery purposes, you have to stipulate to the fact that, okay, we took these pictures, they were very dark because the crime scene lighting, we didn't have good lighting or whatever it was. And we have to stipulate to that in the report that we have altered these pictures to make them more viewable, make them easier to see what is captured in the photograph. And, you know, she's denying that she did any of that. Could it be a difference of lighting? It could be. None of us were a witness to that incident. But at the same time, if you did just have one light on versus the other light, I think it is important to stipulate that in discovery.
Well, listen, if you look at the eyes, look at the face, it has to be the same photo. You can't replicate something like that. I just shot the exact sort of same pose, in my opinion. Why not just say, I don't know, or maybe I did, or I'm not quite sure. But the fact that Amber Heard is so just forceful with her denial, no, I have never, ever, ever done that in my life. At some point, even if you're telling the truth and you don't believe that you did do this, for one juror or two or three, who knows, that could be a turnoff, could it not? That forceful denial of what seems to be plain evidence in your face.
Exactly. It could have been something as simple as I saw the photo and it didn't adequately show the bruises. And we know that bruises don't photograph very well. And so we tried to show the bruises as opposed to manipulate the photograph. I think she has a problem if there's anyone on the jury who, like most of us, has taken a picture, looked at it on our cell phone, and increased the saturation or increased the brightness or the contrast or anything to that picture that would know how easy it is to change how a picture looks. And then to submit, which picture did she submit to in her deposition, and did the other one come up later? I think those are some of the questions that the jury want to know. Why did she change the look of those pictures?
Right, if
they believe she did.
Not a big deal. I photoshopped it, and here's why, or I think I did, or I'm not sure if I did, but this insane denial. Then on the other hand, she accuses Johnny Depp of photoshopping that photo from the train. Take a listen.
This is the picture. This picture shows an injury to Mr. Depp's face, doesn't it?
I disagree. I've seen this picture.
Okay, Ms. Heard,
I've seen
I
this
got the
picture
answer. Thank
before,
you.
and
You disagree?
he's not injured in it.
He's not injured in this picture. That's your testimony. Fine.
This one is Photoshop.
Ms. Heard.
Dr. Pettler, again, the aggressiveness of Amber Heard, you got to give it to her. She did withstand Camille Vasquez for multiple days. Overall, do you give her points for sticking to her story and doing it the way she? I mean, to me, she seemed very consistent-ish in that she didn't waver. There wasn't that big moment. She didn't break down. She didn't fight. Your assessment of her on the stand in the context of her stability and her consistency?
Yeah, it changed for me over time, like from the time that she got on the stand and started in her case in chief and in the direct was very, very different. That was, to me, a different Amber Heard than we saw the past 2 days on cross-examination. She did stick to her story. She did stick with details. I thought that a lot of her facial expressions and the way that she looked at the jury was odd. And it also struck me that she had so many vivid details about so many incidents that it became overwhelming. And one of the things that I said yesterday to a colleague was she has lost the ability to there was a point in her testimony when we could all see some of these things that she is saying appear to be consistent with intimate partner violence. And then she would go way off on the other side. And we were shifting back and forth, back and forth. And then when she came back after the week break, she was calm, she was quieter, her whole demeanor changed. And in the past 2 days on cross-examination, her demeanor changed again. And I think that she really shows this ability to change into whatever she's going to have to change into to get her through whatever she's going to have to get through at that moment. It really is very consistent with what other experts have testified to about her psychology.
Interesting. We're going to slip a break in here. It is another big day in Fairfax, Virginia. We're expecting some crucial witnesses as Amber Heard continues to put up her case in chief. We're waiting on the arrivals of both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. We'll show those to you live coming up in the next few minutes. Also coming up, it's not the first time that Amber Heard has been accused of domestic violence. That came out yesterday. We'll explain next.
You didn't tell anyone about the abuse until the TRO. Is that true?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
And you indicated that you, in fact, had after the divorce,
Objection,
correct?
Leading.
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
All right, when there's objection, please stop.
Prior to 2015.
Objection, Your Honor, leading. Calls for hearsay.
How many?
Overruled.
During the time it was happening.
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
That's not offered to,
And hearsay.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it's prior consistent statements.
It's leading, it's sustained.
Can you name them?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I think she can, it's not offered, it's just showed that she informed people before. They're suggesting.
Objection, Your Honor, can we approach?
Of objections yesterday during the redirect of Amber Heard. Testimony resumes in about a half hour in Virginia. Big day. We're expecting more of Amber Heard's circle of friends. We heard from Johnny Depp and then his circle supporting him. Well, now we've heard from Amber Heard and today more of her circle as Amber Heard's team continues to present witnesses, including her sister Whitney. She's expected to take the stand at some point, possibly today. First up this morning, though, it will be the continuation of the deposition from Amber Heard's friend Rocky Pennington, who at one point was living at one of the LA penthouses owned by Johnny Depp and her. Now, prior to her relationship with Johnny Depp, Amber Heard had another run-in with domestic violence allegations. It was during 2009, an incident with her then girlfriend. Take a look and a listen to how Amber Heard explained that yesterday on the stand.
You committed domestic violence against Miss Van Ree during your relationship, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You assaulted her at a Seattle airport in 2009, didn't you?
No, I did not.
And people saw that.
That's not true.
And it was covered in the press. Isn't that true?
It was planted in the press by Johnny's team 2 days after I got the TRO. Not
Can
coincidentally.
we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1279?
Your Honor, may we approach?
This is an article from 2 years ago, correct, Ms. Heard?
I don't know when this
May
was.
of 2020?
That's not when it came out, no. This story started getting planted after I got a TRO, after I got a restraining order against Johnny.
The headline says, Amber Heard
Objection,
allegedly
Your Honor.
struck.
Objection, Your Honor. I think Your Honor ruled she can't say that.
If you want to approach again.
The title reads, Amber Heard allegedly grabbed, struck her ex-girlfriend at the airport. Doesn't it?
Yes, and that's not true.
May we approach? Amber Heard allegedly struck her ex-girlfriend, Tassa Van Ree, at the airport in 2009. Did I read that right?
Yes, this is another example of the smear campaign.
Big moment yesterday for the Johnny Depp team to be able to get that into evidence and present it in front of the jury. Dr. Laura Pettler is in Monroe, North Carolina. She's still with us, and law professor at the University of Georgia. Former prosecutor Melissa Redmond also with us. Melissa, to you, the significance of that yesterday coming out, this alleged prior incident, well, allegations go a long way, do they not? And possibly for some of the jury, that could have been very significant, whether it's true or not. Just getting it out in front of them was a huge win, I would think.
Yes, because Deb's team wants to paint the picture of Amber Heard being the abuser in this relationship. So absolutely, if they had an opportunity and did get the opportunity to show the jury that she's actually been abusive in a prior relationship, that scores major points for them if the jury believes that that actually occurred. Some jurors may believe, there was if there was a police report, if it was covered in the press, then maybe something happened. Maybe Deb's team will have an opportunity now that Amber Heard has denied that that incident occurred. Will maybe be able to bring in some other evidence on rebuttal to show that it did, and that she was actually arrested or accused. I don't believe she was actually arrested, but was accused in the public of being abusive in her prior relationship.
Dr. Pettler, how did she do, Amber Heard, in trying to explain that away in front of the jury, in your opinion?
I would have just simply said no. I would have not embellished all these questions with a lot of details, because I think sometimes that compromises what you're actually trying to say, to somebody. And she did that. And you heard, and when you start to hear people say that, they're trying to lead you into convincing you that what they're saying is the truth. And so one of the things I think is very critical, very important to think about when watching Amber Heard or Johnny Depp or anybody testify is, what is all of the critical evidence? What are the key points of the critical pieces of information that of why the case is even in the courtroom, versus what could potentially be what we call here white noise at my firm. We call that white noise. How do we separate, how do we sequester the white noise from the critical evidence that actually goes all the way to the jury? And what really is the jury thinking when they're watching her facial expressions and watching her lean forward, lean back, look around, look at them? What are they perceiving as being the critical evidence versus what they might even perceive as white noise?
Melissa, Dr. Pettler brings up a good point. One thing that a lot of our viewers have noticed is Amber Heard's continued consistency with turning and looking at the jury and engaging with the jury, which, is good on some levels. Each case is different in how you do it. What was your overall assessment of the body language you witnessed from her and her demeanor throughout her testimony, engaging in the jury, and much different than her direct during cross? I mean, she was combative, but wasn't overacting like one could argue she might have been doing on direct.
Right, and that's to be expected, because if you think about how trial prep works, she's practiced direct with her attorney, so she was much more comfortable and knows when she wants to take a significant pause, when she wants to turn to the jury, when she wants to, move her hair, anything. She was able to go over on direct with her attorney on many occasions leading up to this trial. However, on cross, you can kind of anticipate what type of questions you'll be asked, and I would hope her attorneys will prepare her for the type of questions she will be asked on cross and how to answer those questions. But you really don't know how the attorney is going to come at you. You don't get to practice that. So I think that's why you see a more authentic Amber Heard on cross-examination. With her body language, looking at the jury, you really don't know. Some juries will find that engaging. Some of the staring, I think some jurors may find that off-putting. I think she's intentional about making eye contact with each and every juror. You can kind of see her doing that, and that's some things that we kind of talk to witnesses about, is making eye contact if they're comfortable doing so. But it's very fine line. You don't want to stare at the jury. You don't want to try to convince them with your facial expressions that you're telling the truth, because then it can come across as inauthentic. You kind of want to have this conversation with them. You're looking at the person who asked you the question, you're kind of turning to them because they're the person, they're the audience, they're the people you're talking to, but you kind of want it to come across natural and not rehearsed. So it's a very difficult thing to be a witness in a trial, especially a high profile trial such as this.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, the pressure that everybody who takes that stand is under, and we're going to watch that play out with Whitney Heard and the other friends of Amber Heard today and in the coming days. Coming up tonight on Court TV, anchor Michael Ayala. He does it every night. What does he do? Well, he gives you a special hour of testimony of the day, everything wrapped nicely into 1 hour. We know you can't watch every single minute of this because your boss comes around to your computer sometimes. Well, we have you covered. Tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here on Court TV. We're going to take a break here. People have gathered outside the courthouse awaiting the arrivals of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. There's a live picture outside of the courthouse in Virginia. Much more ahead.
Well, now.
Mr. Depp, is this the version of the op-ed that you recognize?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was your reaction when you saw it?
Shock. A blinding hurt. It was like somebody hit me in the back of the head with a 2x4. And this was the opportunity where I thought, something's got to be done. I couldn't take it anymore.
Welcome back. Testimony resuming in about 15 minutes, we're expecting, in the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard defamation case. The trial is all about that Washington Post article that Heard wrote back in 2018, claiming she was a domestic abuse survivor. But the piece does not mention Johnny Depp's name. One of the final themes of Heard's cross-examination by Depp's attorney, Camille Vasquez, focused on that op-ed.
You wrote this op-ed, right, Ms. Heard?
With the help of the ACLU, yes.
That's what you testified to in this courtroom, right?
That is correct.
And this was published on December 18th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Aquaman was released on December 21st, 2018, right?
Yes, that sounds correct.
And that was your first big blockbuster, big budget role, right?
I disagree, but it was the first time I had like a leading role in a movie of that size, yes. Well, second time, yes.
What was your first time?
The first one was the film I talked about before, yesterday, Justice League. It introduced the character. So, technically, it was the second one.
But you were the love interest in Aquaman, correct?
That is correct.
All right. Now, at least parts of this op-ed are about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
It's about what happened to me after.
You sat here during opening statements when your attorney argued that the context of your statements in this op-ed matter, correct?
That's correct.
So let's go through some of that context. He wrote here, quote, "Friends and advisors told me I would never work again as an actress, that I would be blacklisted."
That is
You're
correct.
referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp in the statement, aren't you?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
You're referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp in the statement, aren't you?
In general, I'm referring to being associated with domestic violence.
And you're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-parte domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp in May of 2016, right?
Are you asking me if that's what I was writing about?
That's what you're referring to, correct?
Can you just give me the question again? I'm sorry.
You're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-parte restraining order against Mr. Depp in May of 2016.
That's correct.
You also wrote, quote, "Questions arose as to whether I would be able to keep my role of Mira in the films Justice League and Aquaman." This is also referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
This is referring to what happened to me after I got my TRO, my restraining order.
Against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
These questions arose only after you accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence in May of 2016, allegedly, right?
Yeah, from the time I got the TRO, being associated with domestic violence, that's what it's in reference to, yes.
You also wrote, quote, "Imagine a powerful man as a ship like the Titanic. That ship is a huge enterprise. When it strikes an iceberg, there are a lot of people on board desperate to patch up holes, not because they believe in or care about the ship, but because their own fates depend on the enterprise." In this op-ed, you're saying Mr. Depp is a ship, right?
I'm making an analogy to a powerful man as a ship.
The powerful man you're referring to in this analogy is Mr. Depp, right?
I was talking about a bigger issue, actually, than just Johnny. I was talking about what we as a country were talking about at the time of writing this, which is when powerful men in general do something horrible or something they shouldn't, how there is a system in place to protect them, clean up after them, maintain them afloat. You know, this is a reference to not just Johnny, it was about what was happening as a culture when we were addressing a lot of Me Too issues for the first time.
The iceberg is you in this analogy, right, Ms. Heard?
I would not say that. That was not what I intended to know.
All right, let's go live. Johnny Depp arriving at the courthouse.
Thank you. Since people are talking anyway, I brought this for you. Here's you guys. Thank you.
Johnny Depp holding a flower and offering it to our Austin Brady, our photographer, who is there every day, and Johnny always has something to say to him. Obviously, that flower given to him by the fans. Amber Heard arrived just a bit ago. She was first in.
Good morning.
And as always, very quick for Amber Heard, more business-like. This, Dr. Laura Pettler and Melissa Redmond still with us. Dr. Pettler, the human nature of a juror knowing the atmosphere, I'll call it, outside of this courthouse, is there any way that they don't appreciate the level of attention that this case is getting, and how do you think it plays for them? High-profile trials are just inherently different, are they not?
They are, and I always say that I think that a jury is the most unpredictable animal in the world, so to speak. And you know, I've been in high-profile trials that you don't expect the outcome to be the outcome, and the jury saw it a totally different way. It's just untelling how this jury is perceiving all of this. I think that they probably noticed that the people that are outside are pro Johnny Depp and against Amber Heard. I mean, how would they not know that unless they're being shielded from it somehow by law enforcement, the way that they're being taken in, taken out? You know, I don't know, not there, but it certainly, I think you're right. You know, human nature, they're thinking about, you know, what's everybody else thinking? I can't imagine. I've thought several times, the moment that they get in there to that jury room and they start deliberating, I cannot imagine what the first things are going to be that they say to each other. I cannot imagine, but I have tried to imagine it several times at this point.
It's going to be like, can you believe that? Did you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
They started lining up yesterday at 6 o'clock for an opportunity to get a wristband, spending all night long. This is video from 6 o'clock at night. This is right after court finished up from the night before, and then they're passing out numbers and getting everybody set. They've got their chairs, their tents, they're sleeping outside the courthouse, Melissa. This is just, it's gaining momentum. I mean, the first couple of days, you could have gotten a seat there if you showed up just at 9 o'clock. This is a different ball game of intensity, and it has to ramp up the pressure for everyone involved, the attorneys, but then also, as we get ready for today to start, these other witnesses, Amber Heard's circle of friends, they're going to be under a lot of pressure, including Amber's sister, Whitney.
They are. It's kind of up to them because, as we talked about, we don't know what impact the outside noise is going to have on the jury. They're focused in the courtroom on the witness testifying just a few feet in front of them, and that's who they're focused on, that person's body language, their credibility. And so it's really going to be crucial for Amber Heard's witnesses to come across as credible if for any reason they don't believe everything that Amber Heard is saying. If she can bring in witnesses to verify that these occurrences did in fact happen, and they can shed some light on the circumstances around them in this relationship, then that's going to help her side tremendously. If they can't, that's going to be a problem for Amber Heard. Of course, we don't expect them to have actually witnessed. I don't think aside from the staircase incident, and that's going to be crucial because that's one of the few incidents where there was a witness to some sort of physical act of violence from Johnny Depp to Amber Heard. But for most of those incidents, there weren't any witnesses. And the people on Johnny Depp's team have already testified that right after they occurred, after she alleges that they occurred, there was nothing, from Johnny Depp. He was calm. He was trying to remove himself from the scene. We've heard his bodyguards testify, and Amber Heard will need to do the same with her witnesses, have them testify to her reaction right after these.
Absolutely. Need to break it. Top of the hour. Dr. Laura Pettler, thank you for your time and expertise. Really appreciate it. Live testimony coming up next from Fairfax, Virginia. Stay with us.
Licensed everything.
Yes, that's it.
That's the knife you gave to the man who was hitting you, right, Miss Heard?
I wasn't worried he was going to stab me with it when I gave it to him, that's for certain.
While he was smashing the phone, Johnny severely injured his finger, cutting off the top of it, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
So you testified in this courtroom that after Mr. Depp smashed the phone, he held you down on the countertop by the neck. Do you remember that?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me?
You weren't scared of him at all, were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course it's scary.
Top of the hour. Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are getting ready for another day of testimony. Live coverage of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. This is a live look inside the courtroom. The judge has just walked into the courtroom. Let's take you in live. And as usually the case, at the start of each day, a sidebar kicks things off before the jury is summoned, making sure everybody's on the same page before the day's testimony. Today's a big one for Amber Heard and her team. Yes, she has finished her testimony, but now those critical people in her circle are set to take the stand. We're going to begin this court session right where the court left off yesterday, and that is with the taped deposition of Raquel Pennington, one of Amber Heard's best friends for years, talking about her time not only spent with Amber Heard, but living in the penthouse suites owned by Johnny Depp and Amber Heard at during this critical time period. She's just one of several witnesses that are expected to come up and basically bolster Amber Heard's story. With us this morning, Melissa Redmond. She is a law professor at the University of Georgia. We take a live look at Camille Vasquez, who, of course, delivered that fantastic cross-examination, now sitting next to Johnny Depp back at her spot. Melissa, as we look at these two, and we look back at yesterday and forward towards the end of Amber Heard's case, the importance of these other witnesses, yes, Amber Heard was huge, and one would argue could make or break her case. These other witnesses are, one could argue, almost as big, because without corroborating evidence, Amber Heard's story is more difficult to sell.
Exactly. She'll need some witness to come forward to tell the jury that this in fact happened. Just someone who can say this is consistent. What I saw, what I heard was consistent with what Amber Heard said occurred. And we hope she has, at least one witness who's able to do that for her.
A lot of smiles. We saw the smiles yesterday too, and now the jury's not in the room. So for people thinking this might be unprofessional, no jury in the room, but you can see that the celebratory attitude that we saw at the end of the day yesterday has spilled over to today, at least when it comes to Camille Vasquez and Johnny Depp as they sit and wait for this sidebar to finish up. Melissa, the case itself, how it's going, when you factor in Johnny on the stand, his case in chief, and there'll be a rebuttal from him. How would you assess it? A lot of people think Johnny Depp has the momentum. Clearly, they think it, if you look at their body language. What about you?
I think it's still up in the air because, like I said, I think we're focusing a lot on what Amber Heard was impeached on and the difficult and some of the details of the incidents, or a few incidents, but she talked about a lot of abuse and a lot of separate incidents that actually weren't touched on in cross-examination. So she may have witnesses to corroborate those, and not having been cross-examined on those, that will still give the jury some evidence to say that yes, she was abused by Johnny Depp, and she did not defame him. So I don't think it's a slam dunk yet for Johnny Depp's team.
Initial observations of Amber Heard today. The makeup is back. She went a few days without any eye makeup because she was on the witness stand, but clearly has a little bit more on today, a little bit different look for her, more to the original look that she had before she took the witness stand. Overall, how did she do, Melissa? Yes, it was grueling and it was a battle, but she didn't break character much. And your thoughts on how she withstood the cross?
I think she withstood it well. She maintained her composure. I think she could have gotten a lot of points if she just answered the question, the questions that she could answer simply without explanation, because I don't think many of those explanations helped her. And I think a lot of it came across as being evasive, like we talked about with the donation versus the pledge, whether or not she was talking about her abuse in the op-ed article. Things are just kind of obvious. I think it would have gone a long way if she would have just admitted those, and that would not have allowed the cross-examination on those topics to go on as long as it did. If you would just said, yes, I haven't paid yet, I have every intention to, and that be it, then Ms. Vasquez would have been forced to go on to the next topic.
You see the sidebar breaking up. The judge will be summoning the jury, and then it will be time for testimony to begin. Let's do this. Let's get a quick break in, and then when we come back, Amber Heard continues with her case in chief right here on Court TV. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Everybody's in place. The jury's in the courtroom. First up this morning, the deposition from Amber Heard's former friend, Raquel Pennington. Let's go into court.
Did you see Ms. Heard shortly after she returned from Australia?
Yes.
How soon after she arrived back from Australia did you see her?
I believe it was immediately upon her return.
And she visited you in your apartment at the Eastern Columbia building, is that right?
Yes.
You testified that you observed injuries on Ms. Heard on this occasion, is that right?
Yes.
What injuries did you observe?
She had these deep cuts on the backs of her forearms. And yeah, they were very, very deep, long cuts on the backs of her forearms.
Did you see her feet?
At first, when she came over, she had shoes on, and then she showed me her feet. Yeah.
What specifically do you recall seeing on Ms. Heard's feet?
They were just, they were cut. It was smaller cuts than the ones on her arms.
Were both feet cut?
I don't remember if it was both or one.
You testified that Ms. Heard told you that she got these injuries from glass from broken bottles. Is that correct?
Yes.
You were not in Australia with Ms. Heard when she allegedly sustained these injuries. Is that correct, Ms. Pennington?
I was not in Australia.
So your only understanding as to how Ms. Heard sustained these injuries is what she told you, right?
That is my understanding.
You've testified that you attended a Thanksgiving dinner with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard in November of 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
And this dinner was held in Penthouse 5 at the Eastern Columbia building, right?
Yes.
And just for clarification, Penthouse 5 was not Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's primary residence, correct?
All of the penthouses are connected.
Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard lived in penthouse 3. Is that correct?
Well, technically, they lived in all of them. They were all connected.
Where did they have their bedroom? In which penthouse?
Their bedroom was in 3.
Who attended this Thanksgiving dinner?
I think that, well, Josh, myself, Amber, Johnny. There were a couple of Johnny's friends. I think Amber's dad was there. Jack, Johnny's son. I don't remember anyone else specifically.
Do you recall what time you all sat down to eat dinner?
No.
Okay, but you testified at some point late in the meal, Amber went upstairs to look for Johnny and stayed up there for a long time, correct?
Yes.
And did Mr. Depp sit down to dinner with all of you?
I don't know if we all actually sat down at one point.
Did you see Mr. Depp at some point leave the dinner?
I don't remember him leaving. I remember noticing that he was gone.
Did you see where Mr. Depp left to, where he went?
Either upstairs or out the front door. I didn't see it happen, so I don't know.
Did you observe Ms. Heard consume any alcohol before she went to look for Mr. Depp?
Yes.
What was she drinking?
Red wine.
Did she seem drunk when she went to look for Mr. Depp?
No.
Did you observe any injuries to Ms. Heard when she returned?
No.
Did you observe any injuries to Mr. Depp when he returned?
No.
Do you remember that when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard came downstairs,